wanted to create a quick video to show you how the change collector works in the system. So here's just a couple of screenshots. Configuring it or turning it on is quite straightforward. You will have to go into a project scope. In my environment, I have first implementation open. So go into there, go into your questions, expand built-in services and support, and business environment and change history. And then you can activate collect all changes for a document type at a mass level. So once you activate that feature, you can then finish your project changes. Then you will go into the Work Center assignments, and you should see a new Work Center available called Change Collector under Application and User Management. So activate that, assign that to yourself or to your system administrator that you want to be able to run this job, and make sure that you log off and log on in order to come back into the system. Now, when you come back into the system, when you go into Application User Management, you should now see Change Collector as a new Work Center available to you. So this job will allow you to run on a few various data sets, supplier being an important one. So if you do want to monitor changes to suppliers, you can set this up as a job. Let me show you the output before I show you how to set up the job. So I created a couple versions of this, just testing it. So this one, I just gave it an identifier. You can call it whatever I want, DO1, daily supplier, and then my execution. So I've set this to run each day. And when I look at the job on the output, by clicking on the log, go to the changes tab. So what I did is I went into a supplier, my Amazon supplier, and I added a new address to it to test this. So you can see that previously I had blanks, and now I have this new address that's been added. So it does keep track of all the changes in the supplier. You can run this a few different ways. The first test I ran a date range. Probably the fourth one. So this one's more extensive because I ran a date range. So it is kind of looking back into the history and looking at a bunch of changes. Now, if I want to create one of these jobs, I go to New Change Collector. And I give it an identifier, so you can call it whatever you want. So you have to give it an ID, so maybe DO2. And then these are the objects that you can analyze. Visualization Center, if you want to monitor changes to the org structure, changes to the customer, and changes to the supplier. So if you do the supplier, you can give it a description, daily supplier updates. And then your validity type, you have a couple of options here. So the first time I ran it was a standard one, and the standard one, you're running it between a date range. So this might be useful to run it sort of historically to see all changes between a specific date. But if this is a job that you want to run daily, then you want to set it to be from last execution until today. And when you do that particular format, it'll run and pick up everything since the last time the job was run. When you create the selection criteria, this is an important step. So if you don't fill anything in here, it's going to either error out or you're not going to retrieve any records. So you can either search based on your companies or your suppliers. So for example, if your suppliers are numbered, you can go from 1 to 999999, make sure that you get all of them. And then just like any other job in ByDesign, you can activate it, and then you can decide to use the schedule feature, and the schedule feature will allow you to set it as a recurring job to run every single day, which is what I did on the last one. So the output of that ends up being this job that I've created here. So you can see that. I ran this daily from last execution. In my case, I went from all companies, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe you want to create multiple jobs to do your company separately. It's sort of up to you. And then just recall that if you're running it as a daily job, this list will just sort of slowly grow. And so you'll come in here and choose the execution ID, go to the Changes tab to monitor those results, and see any suppliers that have been modified in the system. Okay, thanks.